I've made a lot of money and I've blown a lot of money.
I squandered money anywhere, everywhere.
It was always about the looks on things, you know, the better looking things. I need this, I need that.
I thought that cars, clothes, apartment, that was success.
I just get my credit cards, they send them to me, I get them, I spend on them, spend on them, spend on them.
I established credit real young, and I blew through it like it was just money given to me.
Well, I was a 7th grade dropout, and I got married when I was 14, turning 15.
My wife and I was always fighting about finance and money.
Living from paycheck to paycheck, that's not a way to live.
We never learned how to manage money. We never learned how to do any of that stuff.
If I didn't have the money, I'd go get it.
You need money. You spend what you got, and you got to go out there and get some more. You get it the wrong way.
I messed up.
These men are convicted criminals. They are inmates at the Stringfellow Unit in the Texas prison system and incarcerated for committing serious crimes. But after serving their time, many of them will be released and will be facing the heavy responsibilities of daily life out in the world, including good financial decision-making. How do they prepare for that? The inmates are finding inspiration from an unlikely source, a book written by two sisters that go by the names Red and Black. Red is a stay-at-home mom, while her older sister Black is a retired businesswoman who races Ferraris. When her husband is unexpectedly fired, Red turns to Black looking for answers and instead is taken on a personal journey. The book uses a dialogue format to chronicle how Red, guided by Black, discovers personal financial literacy and learns to take control of her life versus having her life control her.
And I looked at the book and I was very interested in having it as one of the programs here under the chaplaincy. It deals with life issues, it deals with finances, it deals with conflict, it deals with family, it deals with working through conflicts within your family or with one another. And it will help the men to transition out and to begin to learn how to deal with every aspect of their life. Basically, I would give them 2 or 3 chapters to read every week, and then when we come back, we would briefly have an overview of what we had already covered. Then I would break them up into small groups and let them go over the chapters that they were assigned to read.
It's going to teach you how to stay out of the red, and that's the key to life, to being successful. If you want to have financial stability, you got to stay out of the red.
Don't try to uphold an image because you're going to the most expensive grocery store in your neighborhood. You're trying to uphold an image that it says just because you stay in this neighborhood, you have to buy up this neighborhood and uphold this image, because if not, you're going to seem like a failure. And since Red and her husband don't want to seem as if they're a failure, they continue to spend their way off into debt.
Then when I have at least 1 or 2 persons from each group to come up and discuss what they've learned and how they applied it to their life.
Priorities, priorities, priorities is what this book is about, life priorities.
I was raised up in a proper home. I mean, I have family that's well off, you know, but because I took it for granted, you know, I ended up here.
Well, I became an alcoholic, and it was due in large part because I couldn't manage my money.
Money got tight, I got greedy, had to do things to earn extra change.
Financial security, again, I feel plays a huge factor in incarceration.
Well, what really surprised me was that I had no idea about the credit cards. And I didn't know they'd charge me those. I just get my credit cards, they send them to me, I get them, I spend on them, spend on them, spend on them, not knowing that they was charging me high APRs, which are annual percentage rates. And once I finally realized that, I'm like, man, they were just making a killing off of me, you know?
You see people out there driving Benzes and stuff, but, you know, they pull up and they ain't got no siding on their house, you know, and it make you think, you know, everything they do is just for that car. But what about the rest of their life?
You can look wealthy, but you still are broke because you're putting on a facade. and you don't have to. Just stay where you at. Be wealthy at heart.
Changed my way of thinking. I have to stop and think before I do anything now. It's not an impulse.
I've made changes in the way I spend my money now. You know, I budget what I get from my family.
I've learned how to manage the little bit of money that I do get when I go to the commissary.
It used to be that I'd go down there and I'd spend the entire spend limit that we had, which is $85. We can spend $85 every 2 weeks.
I don't buy things that I don't need.
Now I only buy my necessities.
And it makes me feel good to know that I'm in control of how I spend my money. My expenses aren't controlling me. I'm controlling my expenses.
It feels good to be able to save money, especially in this prison.
It's like, you know how when you wake up in the morning and then when you go and you brush your teeth and everything, you know, most Americans, you know, we just keep the water running. We just let the water run, you know. And so all that time we're wasting water while we brushing our teeth in the sink and we just lie, and the water's still running. So, you know, as for myself, I'm gonna be paroling to my sister home. So I know that I have to discipline myself so when I go to her house, I don't wear out my welcome, you know, by running up the bills.
I wrote to my wife and I told her about the Red and Black book, and she asked me what it was. I told her it was a book about finances, show you how to handle your income and everything, and she asked me to explain it to her. And I explained it to her. I say, this happened to some real life people. I say, they brought it upon themselves to write a book and, you know, to share it with us so we can kind of handle our finances in here. And when I told her about it, she wanted to hear more about it. So I told her about it. So I sent the book home to her so she have it, she reading it and everything.
I've shared this with several people in the dormitory. One guy, he was getting out in 2 months. He said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I said, well, let's sit down and go through this book, man, read this. And he read it in 2 days, which is pretty quick. I mean, he forego the TV. He sat there and he got interested in it. He read it. And he said, well, help me make out this list. I said, okay, what do you want? Well, I need to get a car. Well, how you gonna get it? What do you want? Well, I want a new car. I said, well, that's kind of high there, man, but what do you want when you first get out? And get something that you can afford. So we got to making the list. How you gonna get it? So I said, this is called reverse engineering. Here's what you want. Now you got to figure how to get it.
My niece, you know, she dropped out in the 10th grade. She got married. Right now, she's 21, 22 years old. And she and her husband, they have problems in financing. And I tell her, look, man, hey, a lot of your troubles can be solved if you learn about this stuff.
I'm gonna teach my grandchildren about tomorrow, about don't think about just today. Worry about tomorrow also, because like there is a tomorrow. When money-wise, there is a tomorrow.
If I'd have known about the Red and Black book 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't be here today.
If I would have had this information prior to coming to prison, I more than likely would not be here.
I probably would have been a big businessman or something, because I knew how to set my goals and knew what I wanted, but I didn't, so.
It would have impacted my life because I would have taken more, I would have prioritized a lot of things more. Not only just the finances, but my time, and I would have been more consciously aware of what's going on in my life.
We got all these programs that help us to deal with life on life's terms, and I think that one of the areas that they're lacking in, I give respects to the administration for implementing all these positive programs here for our improvement, for our betterment, so that we won't come back to prisons once we get out. But one of the things is that I don't think I've ever seen a financial class in this prison system.
I think everybody in state penitentiary should have a chance to learn what financial literacy really is.
And if they want to change their lives and they get a hold of this book, they can do it. They just got to have the want, the need to
gain this knowledge and understand it and use it in their everyday life.
If they apply the tools that Red and Black placed before us in the book, they can almost guarantee to stop their recidivism, because it's going to teach them how to save money and make money at the same time, and it doesn't have to be illegal.
I feel that this book and this program should be expanded to others in prison, especially those that are coming home, and to help them make that transition to where they can get out, find a job, and do their budgeting right, and maintain their finances and be in control of their finances. Because if we don't, you find yourself having to do or resort to other things just to keep your finances afloat.
And I think that's what causes a lot of recidivism, is that people get out there, they go get their job because they know they've been told to get a job. They go to AA because they've been told to go to AA, and they start doing all these things. They built their character up to a moral standard, right? But when they start dealing with money, all of a sudden, there's this big old elephant that comes out the closet.
I think if you're financially literate, that there's no reason for you to come back.
I don't want to come back, so I don't want. It'll help me stay out of here.
Most of us fly by the seat of our pants. We don't have a mapped out plan or what to do in this situation and that situation. In this book, it gives you guidelines. It gives you a criteria to follow, and this is what you can get, and this is what you can't get. If you don't know, then you don't know. But once you do know, it's on you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take it? Are you going to run with the information? Are you going to establish it in your life? Or are you just going to let it pass you by? It's all about choices.
You saw the impact that he has had on the men that you have talked to so far. Can you imagine the impact that he would have on the youngsters?
If I would have known, that's what I know right now. Since 1963, when I was in junior high school, and I was trying to gain a savings through San Antonio Loan Association, I think that I would have turned out to be something more.
I feel this book will be most important in school, in education, especially nowadays. I wouldn't say high school, I would say pretty much in middle school, sometimes even elementary, 6th grade, for the reason being the generation's growing up real fast nowadays.
It's easier to raise a child than it is to change a grown man. Raise a child in the right way than it is to change a grown man once he's gone too far. And I fully see that. I'm living it.
We're all gonna fall, you know what I mean? No matter what we do in life. Life is meant for you to stumble, but you gotta keep getting back up.
When I get out, I'll have absolutely nothing. But that's my elephant. And I know I can eat this elephant, I just gotta do it slow. One bite at a time.
Planning and planting, seed by seed. You know what I mean? One step at a time.
Make all your lists, then refine it and refine it. You're gonna come out ahead in the long run. Because that way you know what you're doing, you know where you've been, you know where you're going, and you know how to get there.
My transition from here to back into the free world, I think it'll be a lot easier, not only because now I'm saving money, I have a little money when I get out, but also I'm gonna have the tools necessary to financially keep myself stable financially.
I've experienced only prison life all my adult life. So I know that when I get out there, I need all the tools that I can have there in my hand, so I can go through them and start saying, okay, this is what I need to do.
When the carpenter carries his tools, he's got his mallet, his chisel, and all his wood carving knives in there. I consider black and red such as that. It's got the mallet, the tools, and the carvings to go ahead and carve yourself a good future.
I never thought about tomorrow, and this book really tells you to, think about tomorrow.
I want to get myself structured where I can pay a house note, pay a mortgage, get a car, get financially sound and stable, start a small business. And I think if you look at the steps in this book, it shows you from building block to building block to building block to building block. If you do this, this is what will come. If you do that, this is what will come. It's all broke down, there's no gray areas in this book. It's either black or it's white, or really it's red or it's black. You know what I'm saying?